Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about the prospective plea to perjury of Alan Weisselberg in the fraud case and a letter that went to the parties, the lawyers, saying what is to be done here, how shall I handle it? Now, the first point, I told you this when we first heard about it, it's not as if Justice Engoron, how they call the trial court judges, has any more knowledge than any of us. The speculation appears in the New York Times. He reads the New York Times, but certainly the DA won't be, calling up the judge and letting him know because it might matter for this fraud opinion he is preparing. Though, in fact, it might. So he sends a letter around citing the New York Times and says, it looks like this may have happened. I am, duty bound to take in. This would have been in this very trial. Weisselberg would have lied. The Times doesn't report on what it is. My surmise is that Weisselberg testified that the 10,000 versus 30,000 foot discrepancy in the apartment in some ways the most vivid fraud, because there's no way of getting around it by saying, as they try with the other properties, oh, this is all loosey-goosey and you never know about valuations and you could pay for more the next day and the Trump mark is worth a lot. 30,000 feet is 30,000 feet. 10,000 feet is 10,000 feet. And on the stand, Weisselberg testified, I really didn't, give this much thought or didn't pay much attention to it. That looks to have been a lie. Forbes magazine was the one who'd reported this, and Weisselberg seems to have been very involved in trying to talk him back and do damage control and the like. And after he said this likely perjurious piece of testimony, he stopped testifying. Now, it's an interesting kind of perjury because it really doesn't go very much to, it doesn't really create a composite picture of guilt that's stronger than we already have, which is overwhelming. But a judge doesn't like it, not to mention prosecutors, when a witness takes the stand and lies about it. So Engoron sends this letter around. What is to be done? Should it affect the timing of my opinion? Because it hasn't happened yet, so he may have to hold up and see what happens, see precisely what Weisselberg cops to, et cetera. And he's right now said that he intends to put this out around mid-February. Actually, the court has said that because he said first the 31st, and the court's just been besieged by media saying, when's this going to come? When's this going to come? So it's now supposedly the 14th. All right. So he said, I want by today, Wednesday at 5, responses from each of you. And he got them. And so let's see, in no particular order, Alina Habba, the famous now lawyer for the Trump organization, is very curt and makes makes elliptical references to her own ethical obligations, and as someone who represents Weisselberg and doesn't want to comment very much, but she does say nothing need be done. And then the AG comes in, and the thrust of her letter she doesn't write it, but the prosecutor assigned to it, he says, don't slow things down. You don't need to. You can already take account of this or not. But the main thing he speaks is to the timing and says, this shouldn't be any means for slowing down. And then the third lawyer, the representative of the Trump family, comes out maybe characteristically or predictably very aggressive and pugilistic, and says it's outrageous for the court to be basing things on speculative reports in the media. And there's, we don't know anything yet. And it's, a transgression of justice, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I don't mean to be flip about it, but that's the his basic stance, which I think won't help Engoron very much at all. So you have nobody saying, think about it a lot, wait till the plea happens. and factor it in. You have the AG, I think, basically taking a stance that's consistent with factoring it in, but without a delay, and then the defendants all saying don't factor it in. Of course, if he were to factor it in, it would tend to increase, I think, the damages that he would find. Which, recall, the AG is first asked for $250 million, then is up to $370 million. And there's all kinds of other things going on as well, including potentials to bar Trump from participating in the real estate industry, et cetera. So anyway, that's this little, fairly intense drama over Weisselberg, who, as I've said at this point, is just like the ultimate roadkill in the Trump circus, loyal for his life to the old man Trump, Fred Trump, and to Donald Trump. They're coming at him again. He's not going to cooperate against Trump. He's just going to sit there and take it, as he did before when he went to Rikers Island. And, he's a 76-year-old guy whose life has been completely laid low from his bad luck of who he worked for. Okay, so what should I do about it? Basically, nobody says to do anything dramatic. And that's the overall advice. Maybe, we know he's, I think, scrambling to get this done and soon. So that could perhaps factor in, just like when you take an extension at school because, I don't know, there's a snowstorm. But otherwise, no strong exhortation to really change course as a result of this. Again, prospective, speculative, only so far reported in the New York Times. New guilty plea to perjury by Allen Weisselberg at the actual fraud trial itself. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.